Stefon Diggs walked out of that courtroom, and he couldn't hold it together. After 2 days of testimony, after sitting in that room and listening to everything being said about him, after watching the jury walk back in and hearing those two words, not guilty, the man broke down. He didn't stop to talk to cameras. He didn't wave or smile or do anything for the crowd outside. He just walked straight to his family, wiped his face, and left. That was it. Nobody really understood what those 2 days had cost him until they saw that moment. The case had started months earlier. His private chef, a woman named Jamila Adams, walked into a police station in December and told them that Stefon Diggs had hit her and choked her inside his home during an argument about money she said he owed her. She said she was so scared in that moment that she lost control of her bladder. She flew out that same night. She testified to all of this on the stand, crying, voice shaking, describing something deeply painful and personal in front of a courtroom full of strangers. Diggs, quote, defense team asked her one question she could not seem to answer. They asked whether her lawyer had reached out to Diggs' camp and demanded $5.5 million. That's the number that stopped everyone cold, because she had initially asked for $19,000. Money she said she was owed in wages. Then that number kept climbing and climbing until somewhere along the way the demand had gone from unpaid wages to $5.5 million. When his attorney asked her directly about that number, she didn't answer the question. She turned it around and said that Diggs had offered her $100,000 to take back her statement to police. The judge struck that answer right out of the record, told the jury to forget they heard it, and warned Adams that if she kept sidestepping questions, her entire testimony could be thrown out. When they asked her again, you know someone on your behalf demanded $5.5 million from Stefon Diggs, she said she couldn't speak on it. Attorney-client privilege.
Right side of my face.
You know, which part of your face got hit?
The right side of my face.
And then what happened?
And then can I have a second? Can I have a second?
She also confirmed she had sent a text message to Cardi B after the police report became public. She said she couldn't explain what she meant by it. That detail alone sent the courtroom into a quiet kind of tension because Cardi B being in this story at all was not something most people expected. Cardi had been in Diggs' world long enough that the chef had her number, had apparently been around her, and now here they were, her name sitting quietly in the middle of a criminal trial. The defense brought in witness after witness who said they had seen Adams in the days after the alleged assault and noticed nothing wrong. His hairstylist spent time with her in New York shortly after and said she didn't see a single mark, didn't hear a word about any attack. His massage therapist said the same. His chief of staff, his nurse, multiple people from inside his world all told the same story. She was fine. She was normal. She said nothing. The jury went in a little after 3 in the afternoon and came back in just over an hour. Not guilty on everything. His attorney stepped outside and said what had clearly been building inside him through the whole trial. He said, people need to stop targeting professional athletes and trying to take money from them. He said false allegations do real damage to people who are actually going through domestic violence. He said it with real anger in his voice, the kind that comes from watching someone you represent sit in a room for 2 days and face something you believe never happened. And Diggs, he was already gone. Now here's what most people forget when they think about this story. While that trial was happening, while Diggs was sitting in a Massachusetts courtroom in a Navy suit fighting for his name, there was a completely separate legal war going on that had Cardi B's name all over it. And it had nothing to do with Diggs directly. It was a years-old fight that had followed her through courtrooms, through bankruptcy filings, through settlement negotiations, all the way to this week when a judge finally looked at a blogger named Tasha K and said, enough. Tasha K had built her following by talking about celebrities. She talked about Cardi specifically, said things that a jury later decided went way beyond opinion and crossed into defamation. Defamation? Cardi won that case. She was awarded nearly $4 million. Tasha filed for bankruptcy not long after, and the two sides eventually worked out a deal. The amount dropped to $1.2 million. structured payments over time, and one condition that should have been simple to follow.
And said, we want to pay the money. So there needs to be a
Stop talking about Cardi B. Stop talking about her family. Stop making negative comments about her, about Offset, about anyone connected to her. That was the deal. It was written down, signed, done. Except Tasha kept talking. Cardi's legal team went back to court with documentation of at least 25 times Tasha had broken that agreement. 25 separate instances. Across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, radio, everywhere she had a platform. She kept going. The judge held a hearing, and when Tasha's own attorney filed legal documents trying to fight back, Cardi's team noticed something disturbing in those filings. Case citations that didn't exist, legal authorities that had been fabricated. The judge called them hallucinated. Her attorney had to submit a correction the day before the hearing admitting to the errors. And when the hearing was over, he was personally sanctioned and ordered to pay a portion of Cardi's attorney fees out of his own money. Tasha went live that night and told her audience what happened. She said they both got fined. She said it was painful, but she's been through worse. I'm used to losing, but I always overcome. She said, we lost the war, but I have my dignity.
Losing. Okay? I'm used to losing, but I always overcome. Okay? What's the solution, brother?
Cardi posted one line on Instagram after the ruling. She wrote, it's all fun and games till the brim. The brim being her son, her baby boy with Stefon Diggs, born just months earlier. The one she and Diggs call baby brim and baby touchdown. The one that ties her and Stefon together in a way that no breakup, no argument, no viral video can fully undo. And that brings everything back to the two of them. Because after the trial ended, after the not guilty verdict came in, after the legal dust started to settle, Diggs didn't disappear. He organized a Mother's Day wellness event through his foundation in Washington, D.C., built around supporting mothers in the area. And Cardi showed up. She was there beside him, posing for photos, greeting people as they walked in, standing close in a way that made everyone who had written them off do a double take. At one point, Diggs kissed her on the side of her head. She smiled. She liked his post when he shared the event on social media afterward. She had even sent a gift to his mother. These were not the moves of two people who were finished. These were two people who had spent months apart, who had been through real things that didn't make it into any headline, quietly trying to find their way back to each other. People who had been following this relationship from the beginning knew what they were watching. They knew it hadn't been simple from the start. Cardi had come out of a long, painful public marriage to Offset, a marriage that had its own cycle of breaking and coming back and breaking again. When she and Diggs started showing up together, she said herself that people kept telling her to enjoy being single, and she and Diggs had a little bit of too much fun. And now here she was, pregnant, happy, building something new. But then February came. They unfollowed each other on Instagram. That was all it took for the internet to decide it was over. And Cardi, at one of her tour stops, said out loud what she felt. That just because she wasn't dealing with her baby daddy didn't mean anyone else got to talk about him. She was protecting him, even while pulling away from him. That's what it looks like when something is complicated and real at the same time. He reportedly started showing up differently a few weeks before Mother's Day, showed her he was serious about making it work. She never fully closed the door, according to people close to her, and whatever he did was enough to open it again. He had even shown up at her concert back in April, sitting in the crowd watching her perform. She knew he was there. So when that Mother's Day event happened and they were standing next to each other again, it felt like a quiet exhale, like maybe they had gotten through the hard part. And then 2 days later, a stranger with a phone caught them standing outside a coffee shop in Burtonsville, Maryland. Cardi is in black leggings and a black shirt. Diggs has his arms crossed, leaning against his car, looking away.
Cardi B, it's okay.
She is animated, heated, clearly saying something with everything she has. A man standing nearby puts his hand gently on her arm, trying to ease her back. Security starts turning fans away who came hoping for an autograph. This goes on for at least 10 minutes in broad daylight in a parking lot in Maryland. The video hits the internet and immediately everyone becomes a relationship expert. People are studying the footage frame by frame. Someone overhears her say that B*Tage is messy. And now everyone wants to know who she's talking about. Half the comments are people saying they knew it was over. The other half are saying this is nobody's business. Fans who had just cheered the Mother's Day photos are now sharing the parking lot video with raised eyebrow emojis and saying they called it. And then Cardi gets on X and says exactly what she thinks about all of it. Sometimes I forget I'm a celebrity. Damn, you only never cuss your baby dad out when you hungry? That one line did something the 10-minute video couldn't. It reminded people that underneath everything, the trial, the contempt ruling, the foundation events, the reunion photos, the breakup rumors, the tour, the legal battles. They're just two people trying to figure out how to be in each other's lives while the whole world watches. She didn't pretend the argument didn't happen. She didn't frame it as fine. She just said what it was. A hungry woman, a frustrating moment, a relationship that doesn't come with easy answers, and dared anyone to pretend they haven't been there. Some of her fans replied, saying they're exhausted just watching. Others said they wish she'd walk away for good. But then there were people, quieter ones, who said something more honest, that they don't care about celebrities the way they usually do, but something about Cardi makes every messy moment feel familiar, because she never performs being okay. She just is what she is, loudly and publicly, and somehow, Stefon Diggs said nothing publicly about the parking lot. He never does. He's the one who stands there with his arms crossed while she's expressing everything she's feeling. And then they both go home, and nobody outside that relationship knows what happened next. What we do know is this. He's a free man. The court cleared him. The chef's allegations didn't hold. Tasha K got held in contempt for talking about him. Cardi's still in his orbit, still fighting with him, still showing up to his events, still liking his posts. They have a son together who is only a few months old and already has 2 nicknames the whole internet knows. This story didn't end in that parking lot. It didn't end in that courtroom either. It's still going. Quietly, loudly, publicly, and privately, all at once. The way most real things do.